Welcome to Sasquatch and Sourdough, the podcast where we embark on a journey into the depths of the unknown.
The mystery of life.
Weaving together threads of ancient scripture.
What do you mean, biblical?
Tales of high strangeness.
Tell them about the Twinkie.
Whether you're a seeker of truth.
We believe it's the heart of the house.
Or simply hungry for a good story.
What about the Twinkie?
Sasquatch and Sourdough invites you to join us on a journey of discovery, wonder, and deliciousness.
They feel your methods, your theories are
Spooky.
So grab your backpack, sharpen your senses,
Do you think I'm spooky?
and prepare to explore the sacred mysteries of our highly strange world like never before.
And that is the whole problem with aliens.
Well, welcome back to Sasquatch and Sourdough. I am your host, Christina, and tonight I am joined by the incredible Tommy Cullum from the Let's Get Freaky podcast. Hi, Tommy.
Hi, incredible. Oh, thank you.
I'm so excited.
That's
about
amazing. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much.
I was on your
I love
show
your
in
show.
October. Oh, I love your show too. So this is really funny. I was on your show in October. And then I was like, we've been trying to get you on this show forever. And you are in Essex, but it's not like the Essex down the street from me in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So all of my local listeners will be like, he's from Essex. No, you are from Essex, England.
Yes. I'm not in Essex right now. I'm in Dorset right now. But
Okay.
I'm from Essex and I've been in Dorset now for 3 years, but I'm still sound Essex.
I'm going to pretend I know the difference.
It's not that far. It's only 2 hours down the road, really. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's weird because it's only 2 hours from Essex. I'm in Dorset, but everyone talks different in Dorset. It's a little bit of a different, slower culture in Dorset. So it's weird because it's only 2 hours down the road, but everyone's a little bit different. It's a bit more country where I am now. So
when
yeah,
I was looking up Essex in England, I noticed that you're close to East End.
yes, yeah,
Would that be like East End of EastEnders?
yes.
Oh my gosh.
I'm an East Ender. Yeah.
Okay.
All my family's from East London.
So if you guys don't know EastEnders,
You
It
watch
comes-
EastEnders?
I love EastEnders.
No
Yes.
way.
Okay,
That's wild.
when I had Shell on, so you're our second international guest because Shell from Shell Spooky Stories, she beat you to it. But when I had her on, I was like, can we talk about every single like Midsummer Murders? Are You Being Served? What's the one
Wow.
with Hyacinth Bouquet? Like I love every single.
Mrs. Bucket. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you know Mrs. Bucket. That is insane.
The Bouquet residence, lady of the house speaking. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
This is why we have something called public broadcasting here. So we have PBS. And we didn't have cable, so I didn't grow up with cable. So we would just watch PBS like all day during the day in the summer, like if it was too hot or if it was like crappy out. And they would have, it's called afternoon tea. And it was like, oh my gosh, Are You Being Served? Last of the Summer Wine.
No.
Get
You
ready
watched
for this.
that?
Ballet Kiss Angel.
Oh my gosh. This
So
is
if
like
you
a UK channel, was it?
No, it was on like PBS. It was like public broadcasting, but they would just have
Oh.
like, and it was just like, let's have afternoon tea and listen to it. So if you guys
Wow.
have, please, everyone listening, just do yourself a favor and go listen to all of these. Some of them are like soap opera, but for the most part, that's hilarious British comedy.
Yeah, I can't believe
Yeah.
Mrs. Bucket's in the US. That is amazing.
Obsessed. like obsessed with her.
Oh, it's a great show. It's,
What is it called? I can't believe I forgot.
is it? Oh, what is it called? She's
Keeping Up
Miss.
Appearances.
That's it. There you go.
Keeping Up Appearances. Oh, it's the best.
Do you have Only Fools and Horses? Did you watch that?
What was it?
Only Fools and Horses. Did you see that?
No,
Oh,
that might be a little obscure.
No, you got to watch that one. It's like a comedy set in London. Where it's like
Really?
a little dodgy dealer sort of character, but in the UK it's massive. It's like one of the biggest shows. Yeah, that's it.
Dodginess.
I can't believe you watch EastEnders as well. That is insane.
So guys, EastEnders is like, if you grew up around here and your parents watched soap operas, you are used to like, oh my gosh, what did my parents listen to all the time? They would always watch The Young and the Restless. Like that was like a whole big thing, Young and the Restless. So, EastEnders is like the British version of soap operas. But it's like scandalous. Like I feel like the American. I was thinking about this today because I was like, I want to talk to him about these soap operas because I feel like the ones in America are more like, I don't know, they're not like the ones like set in the bars and stuff like that are a little bit more scandalous and rough because like there's fights and it's ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't
believe you watch EastEnders. That has blown my mind. I don't know. I was thinking about it recently where I was wondering if, like, because you got EastEnders. I don't know if you got Coronation Street, if you watched that.
Coronation Street. Oh my gosh.
That's like the Manchester version of EastEnders. Yes. That's insane. I wanted to be on EastEnders when I was a kid. I was like, that was like one of my dreams.
But it's not like, I don't, like, unless people watch it, it's just like, it's a show about like, it follows like all of these different people's like lives in the East End. And it's like circled around bars, like kind of, right? There's a main character. The
Queen Vic.
Yeah. And then there's just, you know, drama ensues and it's ridiculous.
That's wild. That is wild.
I mean, I was like 10 and like 11, 12, 13, like that's what I And then I went right into theater. No surprises there. Yeah. I was like a theater kid. All right. I don't know what happened to my lighting, but all of my lights in the office went off. We have like weird timers. No, it's nothing creepy. We have weird timers, and then I just got these new lights, so whatever. We're just rolling with it. Okay, so now I'm really all jazzed up about EastEnders. What was the show again? Tell me the show, and then we'll start talking about weird stuff.
What the show that I suggested? Only Fools and Horses. Only Fools
and Horses.
And it is. It's one of the favourites here in the UK. Like
it sounds like a Morrissey song. Like
it's like a London, like a Cockney sort of character that's a bit of a dodgy dealer, and it's great.
So funny.
Yeah, I can't believe you watch EastEnders. That is wild.
Oh, because when I all right, I have to stop because I'm so excited about it. Like now, I just want to go and like binge it again because I haven't watched it in so long. Because it's just like trash. Like it's not even romance. Yeah. Like that's the funny thing. It's just
and it's on like 4 days a week in the UK, and a lot of people watch it religiously. Like it's like huge. Christmas Day, there's like a special, and people will sit around the telly and watch EastEnders on Christmas Day. Like it's huge, man. It's huge.
So that's how that's how when I grew up, my grandmother would just watch her shows, and she would like chain smoke in the kitchen, and she would watch in Baltimore City, and she would watch all of her like programs, but it was like the American soap operas. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So clearly I've just been watching brain rot my whole life. But before we started rolling, so Tommy, you have an awesome paranormal show called Let's Get Freaky Podcast. And it's great. You actually just had a guy on who is from Baltimore.
Yeah, Tom Franklin.
I want to get a hold of him and I need to talk to him because
he's a cool dude.
He like literally told a story. I'm going to link it in the show notes so that you guys can listen to it. But it was really close to home. Like he had an experience in, I think like Southeast Baltimore. So like right around where like my mom kind of grew up. So yeah. And it was really funny when I was listening to it because I was just like, man, Baltimore. Like you cannot get away from somebody from Baltimore. That's why we call it Baltimore.
Yeah.
Like, here I am listening to a podcast that I've been on, and this guy's like, I'm from Baltimore, and now he's like in Mexico or something.
Yeah, he's a cool character.
Yeah,
He's been Germany, Mexico, and yeah, had experience
really,
wherever he's
really cool
gone.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Interesting
before we
dude.
started rolling, you were telling me about how you work at a store,
hmm
and you said it was kind of akin to like Walmart, and I was saying that I have a Walmart story. So I don't know. Do you follow? Oh my gosh, L.A. Marzulli.
I do. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there was a show that he did, and it was about like he interviewed somebody, and I'll never be able to go back and find it. But they were talking about how like all of like, I guess kind of, it's not like aliens, but it kind of is. Like when they come here and they're like doing all the like crazy like masking that they do, they take them around and they have like handlers that take them to like Walmarts like late at night to try to get them to like fit in. It's really creepy.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It
It
just
makes
reminds
sense
me of
though,
that.
because you
Right?
do get some strange characters late at night come into the stores.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
No.
human.
Exactly. But it's like all the weird like alien hype. I mean, that's his theory, so I obviously don't know if it's true or not.
Interesting. Yeah.
There's always a weird thing going on at Walmart.
Yeah. I do think they walk among us, so it's very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was wondering is, can you sort of walk us through like what got you started? I know that's always like everybody's first question, but you have a really interesting kind of experience with the supernatural.
Yeah. Well, I was always quite, from the start, since I can remember, a bit of a weird kid, because I was like always scared of the dark. I know a lot of kids are like that, you know, they're scared of the dark and stuff, but I was like really scared. Like I always felt like there was something in my room. I always felt like something was watching me as a kid, and I would try and get in bed with my mum and dad. And I was terrible at sleeping at night. And that is something that sort of played throughout my childhood. And really, to be honest, still now, if I'm in a hotel and the wife's not there, I will not sleep in the dark on my own. I still don't like it. I still will have, I normally, if I'm in a hotel or if the wife's away or whatever, I will have a telly on, or a podcast playing, or a light on, because I just can't sleep in the dark on my own. I don't know, too many things happen and it's, I just can't do it. I'm just a nervous wreck. So I can't ever really relax in that sense. And so when I was really young, we grew up in a haunted house. So it was very typical haunted, things used to go missing, used to get weird vibes, and the whole family felt it. Like it was all of us. We all felt it. And it wasn't really until we left that house when I was about 12 that my mum and dad were like, I'm glad we got out of there, because I remember us saying it, like we never spoke about it while we was at the house. We had experiences, but we never like really openly talked about it, because me and my brother were quite young. And it wasn't until we left that my dad was like, yeah, I'm glad we got out of there, because there was something not right.
And that was the house that was in Essex by the cemetery?
Yes, yeah, that's the one, yeah. Yeah, in Worley, Essex, yeah. Yeah, very, very strange. I mean, we had good times in the house. It wasn't always negative, but there was times where, you know, weird stuff happened. And sort of my big experience there that sort of really I always go back to was in my bedroom. I woke up one night. Me and my brother, we had bunk beds, and I was on the top bunk. And I woke up one night and looked down at my desk. And even though all the lights were off in our room at the time, you could still, like, the street lights used to come in, so you could pretty much see the room. Like, it wasn't pitch black. It was quite light, even when all the lights were off. And I looked down at my desk, and there was a man sitting there at my desk, like full-bodied man. And he just sort of had his head in his hand, and he was sort of looking in my direction, but I don't know if he could see me, because he didn't move or anything like that. He was just sitting there, just still. But he was like solid. It was solid. I could see him very clearly. I could see like he had like a brown suit on. He had like long brown hair, like a little brown beard. I could see like he had like this white sort of scarf thing around his neck. He had like big brown boots. Like, I really could see him, like he was just there. And I wasn't thinking ghost or, I was just thinking, there's a man in my room. There's a man. And I was obviously freaked out massively, screamed for my mum. And she's come running in the room and like, Mum, there's a man in the room, there's a man in the room. And she couldn't see him, but he was still just sitting there, not moved, just the same position. And I remember her going up to like the desk and that, but I don't know if she's gone through him or anything like that. I just remember her coming back quite angry. And because, as I say, I was quite a weird kid that used to get up all through the night. And I think by this time, my mum had just had enough of it. And when she listens to that, she'll listen to this podcast and she'll ring me and say, I'm sorry that I did that. And she always apologizes for this, but she made me stay in the room.
Shouldn't feel bad.
No, of course not. No, I know, of course not. But she was like, no, you're staying in the room. There's nothing there. Just lay down. You know, and she somehow made me stay in there, but I was pretty freaked out. My little brother didn't wake up for some reason that night because I was quite loud and hysterical, but I ended up staying in the room. And I just remember going under the covers and just laying there terrified, sweating, crying, just a mess. And I just kept looking. Every now and again, I would sort of look over and somehow I fell asleep. Like, it was just one of those nights where you're not really sleeping, you're waking up and it's a very unsettled night. And obviously, and I'm looking and this guy never left until I woke up in the morning. It was obviously really light and he was gone.
So he was there. You kept seeing him all night.
Yeah, he didn't disappear at all. No. And for me, that was a moment that was like, this is real, and I've never doubted it. Never doubted it,
Did he look at you? Did it seem like he tried to engage with you at all? Or
no, he didn't move at all. He didn't, as far as I can remember, he didn't even blink, but he was just sitting there in the same position, but solid, like as solid as me and you now. And he looked like, this is where, like I say, he looked like William Shakespeare.
Yeah.
He had that sort of look. He looked like he's from that era. When I see a picture of William Shakespeare now, I'm like, oh, that's the dude. That's what he looked like. It wasn't William Shakespeare. I don't know. It might have been William Shakespeare, but I don't think it was. But
have you ever looked into like the history of that area?
Not really. I know there is a lot of history there. Like there's like, Henry VIII. There's a Henry VIII hunting lodge just down the road where he used to go and hunt. So there is a lot of history there.
There's actually a ton of history. I actually kind of had fun like looking through, but one of the big things that like I found was I think it was in the 1300s, there was a peasants' revolt. And so, really? I mean, you can dig into it. It was just kind of like, it seems like there was just like like some sort of massacre that occurred. I'm trying to pull it up. Yeah, hang on. Let me see if I can find it. I also found, oh my gosh, this is so nerdy. But I found the brentwood.gov.uk. It's the Woodman Road Cemetery, because that's the cemetery,
right where the house just backed on.
But that was only built in 1923. So chances are he probably didn't, if that's the apparition that you're seeing. But I found their management plans, which is super nerdy. And then I went through it because it's a whole PDF. But I was like, this is not pertinent to anything that he's going to want to know about.
Wow.
Nobody wants to know the 2016 to 2021 management plans of the cemetery.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They take really good care.
Wow.
Yeah. So you were right. Like it's a ton of history. I'm trying to find this peasants' revolt because that's something that really kind of like stuck out to me.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting.
It goes back, but that's a whole lot of England. Like it goes through like bronze, like they found like Bronze Age, like axes and stuff like that. Oh, here it is. The Peasants' Revolt of 1381. Brentwood was the meeting place for some of the instigators, such as John Ball and Jack Straw. They apparently met regularly in local pubs and inns. The first ever of the Peasants' Revolt occurred in Brentwood when men from Fobbing, Corringham, and Stanford were summoned by the commissioner, Thomas Bampton, to Brentwood to answer as to who had avoided paying the poll tax. And then so Bampton insisted that the peasants pay what was demanded of them. The peasants refused to pay, and a riot ensued as Bampton attempted to arrest the peasants. The peasants moved to kill Bampton. Oh, what? I totally didn't even read this. What if it's Bampton? But he managed to escape to London. Okay, they didn't kill him. The rioters then, fearing the repercussions of what they had done, fled into the forest. After the riot, the peasants sent word to the rest of the country and initiated the Peasants' Revolt.
Wow.
Yeah, totally look into that, because that's a whole bunch.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's incredible.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Wow. Yeah, because the house kind of sort of backed onto a forest as well.
Yeah. And a lot of those
wild.
forests are like interconnected, and then you would have what's called like highwaymen and stuff like that. Like if you really look into it, and if you ever want to do like a deep dive, like it's crazy. Like it's like Mary Green Manor, a 16th century building on
Mary Green Manor.
Yeah.
Yes, that is where we used to go and eat all the time in there.
So, yeah, so that's like all connected with like Henry VIII.
Yes, yeah, that was his hunting lodge.
That's like 16th century. So the
You're teaching me. I should know this, shouldn't I?
Well, I'm a nerd. Like I love this stuff because so the whole thing for me, and I guess from what I've learned on this whole journey is like whatever your experience is, I don't want to say that there's a cause to it. Like, I don't know why you saw that. Like, we could spend forever, asking, even asking God, like, why did you let me see that? There's a reason behind it, I believe. But then sometimes, like, I started reading, there's a really cool book called Peace in Your Home, or Peace in Your House, by Douglas Overmeyer. And he also wrote a book called Seers See. And it's all about, like, kind of like almost a pastoral way of approaching like how to deal with seeing entities, because he is a pastor and his daughter saw like ghosts when she was a kid, and at first they didn't believe, and so he says that like throughout his books, like a lot of the times parents just don't believe, and that's fine, like that's your first natural reaction, but he goes through and says like, go look at the history. Like anytime you want to understand what's happened, you have to kind of go all the way back to see like, was there bloodshed? Was there iniquity? Like all of that stuff resonates in the land. So, when you said William Shakespeare, he could have just looked like that. But I mean, this history starts, much earlier than Shakespeare,
But when I think the guy that I saw in my room looked possibly like maybe like a highwayman, that sort of look. So I've never thought of it that way, but that is really interesting.
And that was, that connection is really cool because, like, when you read about highwaymen, they were brutal. And all up and down those roads that connected those forests.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like, there was a lot of violence. There was a lot of travelers that would just get, kind of like beat. Either they would steal from whomever was kind of traveling there. So,
wow.
I just thought I wanted to see if that any of that, like, made any sense. Because when
100%.
when I look back at stuff, I'm just looking at Wikipedia. Like, I have no idea where Brentwood is.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So is that place haunted? Is Mary Green Manor? Is that like a
Mary Green Manor is a very we used to go there quite a lot. So my dad Mary Green Manor is quite an expensive restaurant now. It's quite a nice hotel / restaurant. And my dad used to do. He does a lot of work in the US. So he would go to the US quite a lot, and he'd also get quite a lot of US guys come over to us, and that would be the go-to place to take them, like for a nice meal and stuff. And we were very lucky that we used to get to go there quite a lot. And there was a guy called Tommy who worked there. Funny enough, his name was Tommy, and he used to like tell us the ghost stories of the place, and he actually let us go into one of the rooms. We never stayed there, but he used to let us like go up to some of the rooms sometimes, and he'd tell us like, oh, in that corner, people see like a lady and a white lady. And there was loads of like ghost stories to this place. It was really cool.
Like the white lady ghost?
Yeah.
Those are crazy.
Yeah. And there's so many of them. I find that very interesting. So many people see like white, grey ladies. Yeah.
What's the big one from there? Do you have one off the top of your head?
What, a ghost story from that place?
From Mary Green Manor, yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to think.
Because it says like it's a hotel and restaurant, but that's one of those places that seems to be like there's a lot.
Yeah,
it was connected with Catherine of Aragon.
Oh, wow, yeah,
Queen Catherine.
Yeah, well, apparently that was Henry VIII's hunting lodge as well at one point. I remember Tommy did say that there used to be a cat that used to come into from nowhere. A cat would come into the restaurant bit, walk through the place, and then he'd walk to like where the stairs were leading up to the room. He'd get to the stairs, this cat, and then just like freak out and run. And they saw this a lot, like this little cat, and they don't really know where it came from. So that's like a spooky. I remember him telling me about that, but there was loads. But it was one of those places where you go and, you know, you can feel like the energy. Like when you go to like a haunted castle or something like that, you can just feel the history. I say you can feel it. It's in the walls, and it's one of those places, like a special place. I love going there. I actually had my 30th birthday party in Mary Green Manor.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they got this big cake out for me, and they've got this sword that hangs up. It's only a little sword, but they literally took the sword down and let me use the sword to cut my cake.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know if that meant anything, but yeah, that was quite a cool.
Oh, that's neat.
So it's a special place to the fact. So it's so weird hearing you say that, Mary Green Manor. And EastEnders.
Oh my gosh, no. I'm obsessed. Some people just get like super obsessed with like English, like British stuff. Like I don't know. I kind of fell off the royal family. I'm kind of over them now.
Yeah. I think it's finished now. It's coming to an end.
You guys are stuck with them, and I'm good.
I don't know. I don't know if Charles is going to keep it going. To be honest, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No.
I'm trying to find. I found this whole big thing of like. It's like Brentwood ghosts and stuff, but Mary Green Manor's not on there. I wonder why.
Really? Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of history there. I think in the UK and in the US as well. I think like every pub is haunted in the UK. You go to any pub, and I'll always ask people now, like, is it haunted here? Do you get things happening? And always people say yes. Like there's this room or things go missing there, or there's always every pub I think is haunted because they're all super old. All the buildings are like. I've got a pub down the road from me that was literally, there's parts of it that are like from the 12th century, which is insane. It wasn't a pub in the 12th century, but it was something, and they've just made a pub out of it now. And like, so the history there is unreal.
I mean, that happens all over the place. It's happening a lot in Baltimore too. Like a lot of churches now we don't have things that old, obviously, but I mean, things are just being repurposed. It's interesting to like, ask those questions like, well, what was this before it was a pub or a brewery or, you know, whatever is like kind of cool to turn stuff into.
Yeah.
Something from the 12th century. I mean, that's, you're right. There's so much like history in those walls.
Yeah. It makes you think.
Crazy.
Is that energy trapped in the walls? Yeah.
Wow. What do you think that stuff? Like, what do you think about ghosts? Like, do you think that they're?
I'm not sure. I feel like there's because you've got the residual energy, but sometimes it seems like these things interact with us, whatever they are. So I feel like there's different types, basically. I feel like there could be different types. The thing that the man that I saw in my room that time, I feel like that may be a trapped energy or something because he didn't move. As far as I'm aware, he didn't move.
And that was the only time you saw him, right?
That man, yeah. I did see other stuff in that house. And my brother in that room as well, the same room. He woke up one night, and this is quite scary. He woke up and he saw two floating red eyes. Yeah, and they just started coming towards him, and then eventually they disappeared. And that was his moment in that room that stands with him. I was in my mum and dad's bedroom, and I was sort of playing in front of their mirrors that they had, and they had like a bathroom in their room as well. And I was mucking around playing in front of their mirrors, and then I saw a naked blonde lady walk past me.
Oh.
And I thought it was my mum. My mum was blonde, and she might walk around naked sometimes. Yeah, mum, put some clothes on. And anyway, I saw her. I saw this lady walk past me and followed her into the bathroom. And I just thought it was my mum. So I'm like, Mum, just talking to her, thinking it's my mum. Walked into the bathroom, having a conversation. And then there was no one in there. And I was like, where is she? And I ran downstairs, and my mum was there fully clothed. And I was like, Mum, did you just walk past me? Obviously she didn't. And she was like, no. And so that was another time that I saw something that I can't explain in there. But that
Did
moved.
she just disappear, or was
No,
it just like
I
you
literally
turned your head and...
Yeah, I followed it into the bathroom, whatever it was, saw it go into the bathroom, walked into the bathroom after it, just talking, thinking it's my mum. And then I just remember walking in the bathroom expecting my mum to be there, and there was just nothing there. And I was like, what?
Oh
Just
gosh.
remember being like shocked.
How old were you?
So that I must have been about 10 or 11, about that sort of age. Yeah. I think that was after I saw the man. But yeah.
So in that house, now if it's too, like, I don't want to ask like a super personal question, but I mean,
Ask away.
Did you guys have like a pretty good, like family relations? Like everything was solid that way?
Yeah. We had some good times in that house.
Yeah.
We argued like every family argues every now and again, but
Yeah.
nothing major. There was never
Right.
like major. Yeah. So it didn't affect us it wasn't too negative, but there was times where, I don't know, you could feel the energy. And I've had that in this house that I'm in now as well, where it feels like there's negative energy that's building from talking about this stuff too much, maybe, and inviting bad things in. I think that can happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't. The weird thing is, I remember when we moved out of that house, I remember the first night that we moved to, I was around 12 years old, and we moved to another house that wasn't too far away, about 20 minutes away, wherever it was. And I remember on the first night, so we moved to this new place, and I had my own room in this new place.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in the room, there was no curtains up. It was quite light in the room, but I had no lights on. And I remember laying there the first night on my own in the room and not feeling scared. And I remember finding that quite strange. I remember like, why am I not scared? And I know that sort of stuck with me.
Oh,
Why?
yeah.
I did eventually get scared of the dark again, but that night I was like, I'm not scared. I'm in a new room, and I should be freaking out. I'm not, and I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was because I did see something in that house that we moved into.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What did you see?
So this was a big step forward, but so I was around 21 when I saw this, and I was at university at the time in London, but I used to come home for the weekends because I'm a bit of a homeboy. So I'd stay at uni Sunday to Friday. I'd come home Friday, and I was only in London. It was only a little train journey back home, or my dad would pick me up. But so I used to come home on the Friday, stay there Friday, Saturday, and go back Sunday. And me and my brother, we had a loft conversion upstairs, and me and my brother started sharing that again. So we was back in the same room together, and we had like our own little bathroom and dressing room and room. Mm-hmm. And I was laying there, and I was asleep, and I woke up, and all the lights were off, and there was a silhouette of a man standing over my bed, and I'm like looking at it, and I completely freaked out, and I thought it was my brother. Just like, trying to scare me or whatever. So I've tried to punch whatever this thing was and gone through it and made obviously a noise as I did it. And my brother was on the other side of the room, turned his side light on and was like, "Bro, what's going on? What's the matter? Are you okay? What's the matter?" And I was like, I saw something standing over me. I thought it was you. And I was like, and at the time I sort of said to myself, that was probably where I've just been stressed at university and, it's probably nothing. And I sort of not forgot about it, but didn't think too much of it. And then it wasn't until like listening to podcasts where people were talking about shadow figures. I was like, I've seen that. I've woke up and seen the shape of something darker than the dark, people saying that's exactly how it was. The room was pitch black, but this thing was blacker. It was darker. And it was terrifying.
Yeah, those things are... Do you feel like something had followed you, or do you feel like it was just two separate, because there was, a good amount of time?
Yeah, I don't know. That definitely felt like... It's hard to say because I'm just sort of putting this to it. I don't know this, but that felt like it was like, not living, but it felt like it was sort of... Even though it wasn't really moving too much, it felt like it was...
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It felt like it was like interacting with me, basically.
Mm.
So yeah, that was freaky. And I've had that in this house.
The one you're in now?
After I started doing Let's Get Freaky, it happened about 3 times where I woke up and there was just the shape of a man standing near my bed, and I'm like freaking out, and it just disappears. And I'm
Do you
like,
think it's the same sort of entity, or did it look different?
that I don't know. It's just the shape of a man. I'm not sure if it's the same.
Right.
The weird thing is, when it happened in this house, is I wasn't super scared. Like I was still very scared. Don't get me wrong, but I wasn't like, I was sort of looking at it thinking, not terrified, not that fear that I had when I was like a little boy when I saw the man in my room. Not as scared as I was when I was 21 and thought it was my brother. It's a different sort of fear, but not. And I don't know if that's because I'm talking about this stuff, and maybe, I don't know, because it still scares me. If I wake up and the kids are standing at the end of the bed, I'm freaked out, you know. So it's for something to be there. Something else happened quite recently as well, where I woke up and I thought my wife was sitting up crying. Like I could see the shape of what I thought was my wife sitting up crying. So I'm like, what's the matter, babe? What's going on? And I've gone through this thing, whatever it is, looked down, and my wife's asleep. And I'm like, oh, what is that? So that happened, yeah.
When did that happen?
That wasn't that long ago. I think that was last year, maybe, or the year just before that. I'm not sure exactly when, but it was it was in this house. I've been here 3 years now, so yeah.
So that's like the second thing that's happened. Or you said there was some things that's happened since you started the podcast?
Yeah, when I started the podcast, I felt like, I don't know if I was just noticing things or, you know, I feel like when you start talking about paranormal, it's sort of, it follows you as well. Like when you look in the paranormal, I feel like it looks back. And I do feel like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like you can invite this stuff in.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because it was getting quite tense in the house quite recently. Like I said, there was like a bad feeling. And it doesn't, a lot of weird stuff's happened to me, and it doesn't sort of, I find it interesting. I know that it's dangerous and you shouldn't mess with this sort of stuff, but I'm still like finding it interesting. But things started happening to the kids and the wife, and it wasn't nice. And that's when it's like, oh no, okay, we got to stop this. And I sort of prayed out loud, you know, whatever's here, you're not welcome, you know, in Jesus' name, leave, you know, that. And for me, that works. Like once I'd done that, it stopped. And touch wood, there's been a few little things, but there was a moment where it felt like there was a build up of negative things happening. Like the kids were seeing stuff, not sleeping well. The wife was hearing stuff. I was hearing stuff, getting freaked out. Even the dog was getting freaked out at points. So the weird stuff was going on, and I was like, okay, this is not good. You know?
So that's interesting, because sometimes, you can definitely sort of pick stuff's like attention. You like call attention to things, even though you know, like we say that all the time. Like you could open a door not realizing, you know. I mean, I think everyone knows that there's a certain level of involvement that we have all chosen to be in, being on this, calling attention to anything that doesn't want its attention called to. I mean, that's just how, you know, evil, and especially the demonic, works. Like they love the attention, but you know, they want it to be like, I guess, kind of more on their terms, you know, and especially if you're trying to pull it into the light, it doesn't want that. Now, the interesting thing is, though, like, I think sometimes it can also be like generational too, you know, so now it's like trying to get, if it can't get your attention, then it's going to try. Like Vicky Joy Anderson talks about that all the time.
Yes.
Like, all the time. You have to be careful, because it might not affect you, but it could affect, you know, not to be scary, but your children or your children's children. And then there's a generational thing, you know, that's kind of happening. And I always keep that in the back of my mind too. I mean, you know, I definitely don't personally go seeking things out anymore. Like I'm not in the field. I'm not, you know, doing stuff like that. But if you're coming across stuff that's coming into your space, that's when, you know, I think, you know, you kind of have to pay attention to,
Yeah.
not the why, but like, what am I, like, what is this, what's going on here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is my biggest fear, is obviously that there's things attached to the kids. That's the only time throughout this Let's Get Freaky journey that I was like, what am I doing? You know, like, I mean, it's this really like, I love this stuff and I find it so interesting and I want to get to the bottom of what is going on and I want to hear people's experiences. But I'm like, man, if it's affecting the kids, that's not good. So there was a night last August, and it was the school holidays. So my wife's a school teacher, so normally she's in bed fairly early, but this was the school holidays, and me and her were like up watching a Love Island type show on Netflix.
Right.
She wanted to watch. I didn't want to watch it, but we're watching this Love Island show, and we're both just sitting there watching watching the show, and the kids are in bed. Like the dog's in his bed. There's no one else around. And this sounds a bit wild, but we just heard, oh, like super loud. And it like lit up the room, this noise. And we're like, looked at each other like, what the heck was that? It was like a cartoon ghost. Yeah. It was like a joke ghost. Like that is like a Mickey Mouse sort of ghost. And we're like, what's going on? It was so weird. And we're like, and it was quite scary because it was still like, what was that? So I've checked around the house, made sure the kids, it came from the room, but I just still looked around the house as I do. And then we rewound the show that we was watching just to see if it was on the show. And it wasn't. And we're like, what the heck is that? And the missus turned to me and she went, you've got to stop doing this show. And I was like, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not going to stop. But that was weird. And again, really
weird.
Yeah. And that was sort of when there was a big build up happening. And it feels like with this sort of stuff is you experience a few things, hear a few noises, you might hear your name called, stuff like that. And then you react to that. You get maybe scared and these things seem to build and build and build and build. And that's what was feeling like it was happening. And then it wasn't until I sort of prayed out loud and you mean it. And I feel like that, for me, that works. And touch wood, that's always worked for me.
What was your original intention, like starting the show? Was it just to share kind of encounters with everyone?
Well, I've always loved listening to podcasts. And I've always, that's like my favorite thing to do is to listen to podcasts. So I was like, I'd love to do that. I'd love to be somewhere people can go at a certain time every week and you know, enjoy it. I enjoy talking to people about this sort of stuff. Like I've had a lot of experiences. I like hearing other people's experiences. So that's just what it was really. And it's become a part of it's become my life basically. Other than my family, it's like the biggest thing in my life now. Like it's like, I can't imagine not doing it now.
Yeah.
And I'm just fascinated by the paranormal, conspiracy, you know, and all these juicy topics that we like. And it's, I don't know. It's like therapy, I think.
I think it is. And I mean, there's definitely, you know, I had the best advice that I ever got. I mean, this is like show number 24, like, you know, so we're super young. But I was on the Bump podcast with Bo Kennedy and he got some really good advice from Dark Waters. His stuff is hilarious, but sometimes I'm just like, I'm taking a break from conspiracy right now. Like I can't, I just can't digest it. I honestly think that God is just like, you know what? You're good. Like it's all going to come out in the wash anyway. So don't waste your time, like listening to it. But Bo's advice to me was really just, you know, whatever it is that's on your heart, trust that God's put there, like put the creativity, put this purpose, put this show on your heart. But his advice was just give it over to him and let him lead it. Because otherwise, and I knew this was such good wisdom for me, is that I would just be doing, you know, I would be right back out there looking for ghosts if I weren't kind of following his lead. Now I'm just saying that because that was just really good advice. And I've noticed that again, knock on wood, I haven't had much, you know, I've done stuff on my end to make sure that like, it's not affecting
Mm-hmm.
our day to day and the spiritual, our spirituality really and our walk with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So that just might be something, to think about and consider, just because that was really the best advice I felt like, because then I kind of would get these feelings of like, if we did something, there was one, I always talk about this because we never aired it, but there was one case that we, like, Crystal and I looked into, and we just never aired it because I think it just wasn't the right timing. And so now it's actually kind of going full circle, where I feel like God is trying to, like, sort of expose something with this one sort of, weird, it was actually a witchcraft case.
Mm-hmm.
Called Hex Hollow from Pennsylvania. And I keep bringing it up because it just keeps coming back up. And I'm actually going to try to, like, do something with it. But when we first recorded that, we both felt gross about it, because it was like, ugh, we're talking about this murder and this guy who did this terrible thing. And it felt like we were giving that guy too much glory when he probably didn't deserve it, And it wasn't like sharing a story that, not so much that they need to have happy endings, but it wasn't fruitful. You know what I mean? For anybody.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that would be my advice via, Bo Kennedy via Dark Waters.
Yeah.
Good wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because when I did, so I was trying to, like, go back, and like I said, I was looking through Essex and, like, folklore and stuff, and there's an insane amount of, like, there was a big, like, witchcraft trials and stuff there. Did you know
Really?
that?
No.
Like,
how do I not know this? I'm like, I love like
oh my
learning about
God.
Salem and stuff like that. And there was
I have so many theories about Salem, though. Like, I think that, like, so sometimes I think that some of, like, the witchcraft stuff was definitely, like, hysteria. And then but when you go through, like, my kind of thing is, like, I love looking into the Scottish actual trials, because when you look in those trials, as terrible as some of them are, you can actually see that there is evidence of people dealing with the demonic and actually trying and doing, like, just crazy stuff that you're like, okay, obviously that person had something going on. But this was really, I found this, there was a woman that actually, like, confessed, and it was crazy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. So what I do, like, and especially, like, for people listening that like to do research, like, I go on Google Scholar. I know it sounds like super simple, but if you type in, like, whatever topic, so I found, like, a couple different chapters of, like, this one case. So there's talking about a cat. There was a woman who's, like, she had, like, a cat as a familiar. And, like, not only did so this is in Essex, and I think it says in 1560 to 1680, like, 550 people were accused, and I think 100 people were actually convicted. Yeah, let me see if I can.
How do I not know this? That's crazy.
Let me see if I can.
Wow, man.
I thought that I have all these tabs open because I was like, I'll just talk about this with him. Oh man, what is it?
I really need to start looking at the history around me, because I'm like fascinated with, like, American history and the pioneers and stuff like that. I'm massive on that at the moment.
I'm more like English.
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can find this first. What did I say? Chelmsford? Chelm. Does that sound familiar?
Chelmsford.
Chelmsford.
Yeah, I used to go there quite a lot. Chelmsford. Yeah, that is one of the oldest. I think I might be wrong here, but I think that is, like, one of the oldest. It was a city in the UK, Chelmsford. I'm pretty sure. Or is it Colchester? It's Chelmsford or Colchester. But it's like one of the oldest.
Chelmsford. Where witches hung.
It goes back to the Romans and all that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Agnes Waterhouse. Let me see if this is part of it.
Yeah, there's still like Roman walls.
Here, no, wait, this is it. Yay, I found it. Okay. Okay, so this is the trial of Agnes Waterhouse. also known as Mother Waterhouse, was one of the first women executed for witchcraft in England. So this is 1566. She was accused of witchcraft along with two other women, Elizabeth Frances and Joan Waterhouse. They all came from the same village, Hatfield Peveril.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay. So she confessed to having a witch and that her having been a witch and that her familiar was a cat, later turned into a toad, by the name of Sathan, which is just an obsolete variation of Satan. Now that sounds a little, I don't know, sketch. And so she said it originally belonged to Elizabeth Frances. So she was put on trial in Chelmsford, Essex, England in 1566 for using witchcraft to cause illness to William Finn, who died on November 1st, 1565. And then she was also charged with using sorcery to kill livestock, cause illness, as well as bringing about death of her husband. And then her 18-year-old daughter, Joan Waterhouse, was also accused, but not found guilty of the same crime. So she said that it says Joan Waterhouse's testimony ultimately helped to convict the other two women. Agnes was hanged and was one of the first women executed under the Witchcraft Act of 1562. Wow.
Oh.
So
You're teaching me a lot tonight.
So the cool thing is, like, when you dig into this stuff, like, and if you go through, like, Google Scholar, you can actually pull up the original, like, pamphlets and stuff that were, like, written out in, like, the 1500s. It's really, really neat stuff.
That is.
So it's kind of like the exact, like, accounts and testimonies. But apparently she confessed, so Elizabeth Frances was examined first. She confessed to possessing the familiar, a white spotted cat named Satan, or Sathan. And then she received the cat from her grandmother. Her name was Mother Eve of Hatfield Peveril. And she was taught witchcraft by her grandmother when she was 12 years old. Elizabeth Frances kept the cat for 15 or 16 years, eventually gave it to Agnes Waterhouse. And then according to Elizabeth Frances, the cat spoke to her in a strange, hollow voice and would do anything for her in exchange for a drop of blood. Okay, that's definitely cavorting with Satan at that point.
Whoa.
Yeah. She confessed to stealing sheep and killing several people, including a wealthy man, Andrew Biles, who would not marry her after she became pregnant with his child. Frances also said that the cat instructed her on what herbs to drink to terminate the pregnancy. Oh, that's terrible. Later, after Frances married, she was unhappy and willed the cat to kill her 6-month-old daughter. Oh, this is awful. And to make her husband lame. The confessions that Elizabeth Frances made expanded the scope of her crimes considerably. Wow.
Wow, man.
And then she gave the cat to Agnes Waterhouse in exchange for a cake. She reportedly taught her how to perform witchcraft as she was instructed before by her grandmother. So this is like, I mean, this is an insane story. And you guys can just like Wikipedia this, Agnes Waterhouse. But this is what makes a lot of these trials and stuff and this whole history so interesting. I think to me, and especially since you live in this, like, I mean, part of the world that's really steeped in the history, is sometimes it's hysteria and you can be like, okay, these people just like went crazy or whatever. But then sometimes you have stuff like this where it's like, clearly, you know, we've got some bloodletting, like we're making deals with the devil here, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what's kind of, I think, makes the whole thing so scary. I don't know. I don't really spend a lot of time in the witch trials, but it's really just, I love the idea of like superstition, but then that the idea of like, I think something happened with superstition where it just kind of like fizzled out or whatever. And now we just kind of don't believe anything, you know?
Yeah.
And we're just kind of like stuck there with this like disbelief almost in a lot of these things. Because you could look at that, like this is one of those cases where it's like, okay, well, if she would have just learned how to, you know, use herbs and medicine or whatever, you know, from her grandmother in a different setting, like by the time maybe it got to the, you know, US, it became a hysteria where it's like, okay, well, she's a witch because she likes to use herbs for stuff. You know what I mean? It gets to that really tricky sort of area with all the witch trials. I don't know.
It sounds like that lady was into some dark stuff going on there.
I mean, that's just like Satanism. Like, that's exactly what was
Yeah.
you
That is
know,
wild. And that
and
is literally on my doorstep. Well, where I used to live.
crazy. So that's what I'm saying. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that that's like what your phenomenon or like what you're experiencing, but when you go back into the history, it kind of makes it a little bit more clear.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's what this book, Peace in Your House, like that's kind of where that gets to, where it's like you want to learn a little bit about the history, and then for us, like, you know, if you're a believer and you like are walking with Jesus, then you can kind of go to him and say, okay, you know, whatever happened here, like, can you just like, can you cleanse this place? Like, because nobody wants to deal with, you know, what's her name? Agnes Waterhouse.
Yeah, that is
I don't
wild.
want her ghost rolling around in my side.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And that stuff's like, it's like in our DNA, you know, that sort of from that time, you know.
Oh, this is crazy. It goes on and it says the chief evidence against Agnes Waterhouse came from a 12-year-old neighbor, Agnes Brown. In her testimony, Agnes Brown described the demon as a black dog with a face like an ape, a short tail, a chain, and a silver whistle around his neck, and a pair of horns on his head. She said that in their first encounter, he asked her for some butter, but she refused him, so the dog, who had a key to the milk house door, opened the door and got some butter. The child testified that the dog later returned for the last time with a knife and threatened to kill her, saying that he would thrust the knife in my heart, but he would make me... He would thrust his knife to my heart, but he would make me to die. I guess that must be really old English.
Yeah.
The most incriminating piece of evidence was Agnes Brown's account of asking the dog who his dame was, to which he wagged his head towards Agnes Waterhouse's home. Now, okay, again, that's tough because we have a 12-year-old, you know, and like, if you wanted to do a deep dive into like all these trials and stuff, I think that there was, I don't know if they actually like let children at that time, like, you know, talk about stuff like that on the actual stand, you know, if it held up in testimony or whatever, but I don't know, that's crazy.
That is wild.
I mean, even if she made it up and then it was still allowed, like the woman admitted to it, you know? So it's kind of like, why would you admit to it if it was just not real? It's crazy.
Man, I used to spend a lot of time in Chelmsford as well. Like, that was literally a place we'd go to, because Chelmsford's like, it's quite an old town, but it's a big town, and it's got like a great shopping centre space and stuff like that. And we used to go there like quite a lot of weekends and go shopping with friends and stuff. And yeah, it's a place I spent a lot of time, you know. Had a good nightlife there in my teen years, when I turned 18. It was like a lot of nightclubs there, and we used to spend a lot of time there.
I'm surprised that like there's no, I mean, not that there would be like any sort of like commemoration of it, but like that it's not like, I guess, more plain knowledge.
Yeah, I can't believe I don't know that. That is pretty wild. It's making me think I need to start looking into my area. I think we always look out when we're looking for this sort of stuff. We always like look out, you know, around the world. But literally every town, every village, there is these legends and laws. Like they're literally just up the road from me. There's like a little witch village which has got a lot of witch history, and there's shops and stuff, and this stuff is everywhere. You know, I know it is in the US, in the UK. Yeah, it's wild. Very interesting.
And I think what happens is then it becomes like more of like whatever might have happened there with a trial or whatever. And then it's like, well, it doesn't really need to build up much steam for us to be still interested in it. You know what I mean? Like, and then just kind of like make an idol out of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that happens with pretty much anything, you know, spooky or whatever. And that's fine. But I think it's more interesting to look into the history of it.
Yeah.
And then to try to figure out like, okay, well, what, and that's like the whole kind of thing with what I'm trying to do is connecting those dots. Like, you have no idea that there's like this crazy witch history there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, all my questions end up like, well, okay, is there a Bigfoot? I don't think you guys have much Bigfoots. Like,
well,
In England?
Well, I talked to. Have you heard of Daniel Lee Barnett? He's
Mm-mm.
a young man. He was on the Let's Get Freaky last week, and
Oh, I don't think I
he's
listened to that one.
15 years old.
What?
This is wild. So when he was 13, he got into Bigfoot. He watched Finding Bigfoot, and it's sort of he was like, "This is amazing," and he's such an intelligent young man. And at 13, he was like, "Okay, I'm going to use the techniques they use to find Bigfoot here in the UK to find deers. Like that's what I'm going to start with." Which for me, that's like really clever to think.
Yeah.
A 13-year-old thinking like that. So anyway, he used the techniques like the tracking and stuff like that, and he found deers in his forest, and he was like, "Wow!" And then he was like, "Okay, I'm going to start looking for big cats now," which I think we've got here in the UK. Like my mother-in-law saw a black panther in Essex 20 years ago on the roadside. Her and her sister they drove past what she describes as a black panther. And
Really?
so they do say that we've got these things out there. So he focused on looking for big cats in the UK, and him and his grandmother. So he's about 14 or wherever he was when he found this. Him and his grandmother were walking through a forest in Somerset, looking for evidence for big cats, and he stumbled upon an 18-inch footprint.
What?
And it sounds wild, and he's managed to collect the DNA and stuff like that, and he sent off the DNA he reached out to loads of different places, loads of different labs to try and get them to look at it. One lab in Portugal agreed to look at the DNA, and after like 6 weeks they got back to him and they told him that he had found, and they didn't know how, he described it as old ape DNA. And in people today, we have new ape DNA, but we don't have old ape DNA. So they were like blown away at how he's found this and what it is. And he found like more as well. There was like 3 or 4 samples or whatever it was. And I'm just like, that's
connected with him?
Incredible. Yeah,
amazing.
I can, if you want to get him on your show, I can.
No, you should tell him to get connected to L.A. Marzulli because he has a lot of lab contacts and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And yeah, he because he's connected with I think Fritz Zimmerman, who wrote a lot of encyclopedias about giants and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people that are trying to do more independent research. So if he has a sample that's like DNA, then he should definitely check out. I guess I would say because it's a little bit more like, I don't know. You want it to be a little bit more independent. Like, obviously, don't send it to the Smithsonian, you know.
So you'll never see it again.
Exactly. So, like, L.A. Marzulli, I would see if maybe, he could, like, reach out to him and see, because he would probably know, like, the next best steps. People that you can kind of trust, you know, with that sort of stuff. So, I don't know.
He's got a documentary coming out. I think it's in September. Because he couldn't, there was certain things he couldn't tell me. Oh, it's wild. My oldest daughter was 13, and I'm talking to this young man, which is not much older than her. He was like talking to a 40-year-old man. That's how it felt. I was like, this is wild. A very intelligent young man. And he's got a documentary coming out, and I think that's going to explain more. Because there were certain things he couldn't tell me. But if he can prove this, if they can prove that DNA came from there and it is what it is, it's going to be a game changer, because it's something. It proves that there's something. This print was 18 inches.
That's amazing.
I mean, before that, I've always said if we've got Bigfoot or Dogman in the UK, it's got to be like a supernatural thing, you know?
Yeah, right.
But that changes the conversation if he's found actual DNA. I don't know, but it's very interesting. I love that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that little guy. I'm sorry, he's probably, I don't want to like make him like a little baby. I have a 10-year-old and it's like, oh, look at this little guy.
Yeah, and he's out there hunting for Bigfoot. It's wild.
Oh my gosh. Well, we need to be praying for him because he will get exploited if, you know, people, you just have to be careful.
Yeah.
But so you were talking about your mom had a black hat experience. I did find, so this is just like Mysterious Britain. It's called the Beast of Essex. between Colchester and Lawford. So this was published in 2008. The Daily Gazette featured an article entitled Colchester Fresh Beast Sighting, in which she detailed a witness account of a large black cat. Another sighting has been made of the elusive so-called Beast of Essex. Alison Wilcox of Ambrose Avenue in Colchester said she was on her way back from Hadley with her husband when she spotted the panther-like animal standing in a field between Lawford and Colchester in the middle of the day. She says it was definitely not a horse. It was a black animal, and I am certain it was the beast everyone keeps talking about.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah.
So
many people
just
see him
standing there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my mother-in-law, she's into this sort of stuff, but not like as much as we are. And every time I see her, I'm like, tell me about the time you saw the Black Panther. And it was about 20 years ago. And I remember at the time as well, 20 years ago in Brentwood, it was a big talking point. It was like in the local paper that people were seeing. They called it the Beast of Brentwood. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. And really incredible. And she saw it. And she was literally, it was on like a main road, but her and her sister looked out the window. I think my father-in-law was driving, and they both saw a giant, what they say, panther on the roadside.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
no,
they're out there.
I don't even know what I would do.
Yeah, it's wild.
Wild.
But so many people see them. Like I've talked to so many people in the UK that have seen them, and they seem to be all over. You know, you got
but they don't know if they're panthers or.
But they're not sure if because there was, I think it was in the 70s. I think it was in the 70s where people that own these cats weren't allowed to have them anymore. So a lot of people just released them into the wild. And then some say that they may be bred and we've got a small amount of them out there. But I like to think they're out there, that's for sure. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, she said it was definitely not a horse. Yeah, I just tried to like do some like a little bit, of this like research to find something that might surprise you. So it looks like I found a bunch of stuff.
You have. I mean, I can't believe it.
Funny.
I can't believe the witch trials in Brentwood in Essex. Incredible.
I just thought that was interesting because it was something that was somebody confessed. Because you don't now. Who knows? Did she, was she tortured? Who knows what the back end of that is? But from what I saw, it was that she like confessed and told this entire story. Which is
they do say that they did torture them. They do say that they were tortured until they just gave up and confessed. But it's so hard to tell.
Yeah, without having like the original, the original sort of documentation, which. I don't even know. That would be something you would have to do a really like deep dive into. But I just thought that it was just right off the bat, like it was just crazy that she confessed to it, but then also another woman said, "Oh yeah, it was her cat." Like, seemed the way that it was written, it seemed like it was more like collaborative than they were under distress or whatever. So who knows?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Because I found a lot of like. So I definitely wanted to talk to you about the fairies because every time you look into England, you guys have a ton of fairy lore. So I was kind of looking for something a little bit different. But you told me today on Instagram.
This is wild.
That you had something crazy. All right.
Yeah. So this is wild. So I've always been fascinated by the fairy lore, and it's huge in the UK. Fairy lore, the pixies, like the little people, you call them the puckwudgies. In the US, they all seem like to be the same thing, but just a different name. And they're like everywhere in the world. And I find that so fascinating. But literally last week, so as far as I'm aware, I've not had a fairy experience before. And I'm not saying I definitely have now, but this was weird, right? So, and it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy saying it. But so last week, I'm normally recording at this time of night, every night, basically. And I just finished. It was about 3:00 in the morning. I can't go straight to bed after that. So I normally stay up for a little bit and just wind down. And it was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was like going to bed. And I wasn't tired at all. Like, I was so awake. I could have just stayed up, but I was like, no, I've got to go to bed because if I don't, I'm going to be a mess tomorrow. So I need to go to bed. And I've gone into my room, and two of my kids, talking about getting up during the night, two of my kids are in bed with a wife. And I was like, I'm not going to wake them up because they're going to be getting up for school soon. So I'll set up a little camp on the floor and I'll sleep on the floor. And so I laid down, and I didn't have any podcasting or anything. Like, all the lights are off. And I saw this light, and it sort of flew around the room quite quick, but went around the room. And it was like long, but quite small. And it looked like gold, like a gold colour, right?
What?
And I saw it and I was like, what the heck is that? And I was like, I've just seen a fairy. Like that, that came to my mind, that thought, I've just seen a fairy.
That's
And
crazy.
I know that sounds crazy. And I was like, my heart's beating, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, I wasn't like scared, but I was just like shocked. And I was like, I've just seen like, in my mind, it looked like a Tinkerbell. I didn't see like a body or any or shape. I just saw like a light. It was like just a little golden light, and it just shot around the room. And I'm trying to work out, could that have been a light? Where could it have come from? There's no lights. The phone was off. My phone was off. It wasn't a light from the phone. There's nothing it could have been. You know, there was no cars driving past. There was no lights. You know, then cars lights don't even come in our room because we've got like a blind, and then we've got like thick curtains, so we never get car lights in, and not many cars are driving past that time anyway. It wasn't that, and so I'm trying to sort of work out what it could have been, but I don't know. I'm not saying I saw a fairy, but it was just weird how I saw this thing and I was like, fairy, I've just seen a fairy.
Yeah, right.
Very strange.
Did it like flicker or like kind of float, or
It
like
just felt like it just sort of seemed like it was just like flying around. Just the way it moved.
crazy?
And I've never seen, as far as I'm aware, I've never seen anything like that before. And I'm always talking to people about different experiences. And I don't know if it was before. I did talk to no, it was before. I did talk to someone about a fairy sighting that they had. And I don't think it was because I didn't have that in my mind at the time. I really didn't. But it was very strange. It was very strange how I was just like, I've just seen a fairy. And it felt like my heart's beating fast when I saw it. And that happened literally last week. And I don't know what it was, but it's very strange.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, if you guys have ever had anything like that, I mean, I can think of, your eyes definitely can play tricks on you for sure.
Yeah.
And what is it called? Like, I have like astigmatism, like, so when you drive and there's lights in your eyes and you get all that sort of stuff. I mean, I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's weird. I just feel like because obviously you can have things in your eyes that sort of make you think it's something, but I've never seen anything like it. And I would have thought if it was something like a problem with my eyes or something, then I would have seen that before. But I don't know. It is possible that it was something wrong with my eyes, but it just seemed the way it moved as well. I don't know. It's very hard to explain, but it's just my initial reaction was like, I've seen a fairy.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even thinking like fairies or what was that, And I feel like I've seen like lights before, but not like that. It was very different. And I don't know what it was, but
I think sometimes it's good to trust your initial instincts,
Oh yeah, for sure.
I definitely, in my own personal experiences, when I kind of retrace them, go back and try to debunk. And, you always want to kind of be sure that, what you saw is what you saw. But I mean, if that would probably have been my first instinct, is like, what is, and you're in a pitch black room, you're not likely to see something like that. And to be like gold and kind of like,
and it really
glittery.
lit up where it was, like as it moved, like it was really like it was something there, it was very strange. When you messaged me saying about fairies, I was like, that happened last week.
Yeah, I just heard something. I can't remember whose show it was on. Man. Well, I know it was. It was on strange familiars. This lady had kind of a similar-ish experience with something that was like, I think it was like she had like a kind of maybe like dolls or toys set up. So it was some sort of, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it reminds me of that. If I find that episode, I'll send it to you. She had something sort of like a weird little occurrence with dolls or something like that, moving, light moving and kind of going along this, area that she had set up. I'm totally misrepresenting it, but I just heard that episode a couple weeks ago, and it was like that same sort of fairy light kind of, because you hear those all the time where you are, those accounts. And I think there's something to them.
I do.
I really do. I really do.
Because a lot of the time people see these things in the forest, and they're sort of described as like orbs. I can't remember who it was, but I was talking to someone that got close to these lights, and I can't remember the name of the person who it was, but they told me that they were in the forest and they could see these like lights, and they're all different colours, and they got close to them, and as they got closer and looked at these lights, there was like a tiny little body inside the light. I was like, that is amazing. Like, that was like, wow. Oh, who was it who told me that? That is bugging me.
Well, there's an entire, so it's Fitz Zimmerman. He wrote, I think, is it Fitz or Fritz? I have it here. Hold on. Oh, it just says Zimmerman. Sorry. I can't remember if it's Fritz or Fitz, but he wrote, I have it here. It's the like illustrated encyclopedia of fairies, and it's amazing. So he has one of fairies and he has one of giants, and then I think he has one called like Dark History of Americas or something like that. And it's just really a great collection of accounts of people seeing fairies. Because Crystal and I did an episode on fairies, and it was fascinating to dig into. And it's kind of like the more that you dig into it, and you hear people. Because I was kind of like skeptical, and I was like, people don't really see these things. Like, we still see them today, Yeah. Or, we see them in England and stuff like that.
But
like, it's kind of more, I don't know, cozy and primordial over there. Like, we don't see anything in North America. But
we're back.
Apparently.
We froze there for a second. Sorry.
Did we freeze? Oh, no.
I think it was my end.
Oh, there you are.
We're back.
Okay, good. Oh, the fairies are here.
They don't like us talking about them.
And so that's like, I mean, the more that we kind of dug into it, I was like so surprised that there's like North American accounts of fairies. And when you get into, so that's kind of, I got back into like the folklore end of it. Instead of just like, okay, supernatural, like spiritual, but it's kind of like, well, when you follow the evidence of it, right? Like, I don't want to have to really over-explain the mystery, because people are seeing phenomenon, and I love the idea that it is this mystery. I kind of just want to keep it that way. Like, it's just God's creation that we don't really understand, but for some reason we're being allowed to encounter it, So that was definitely, I want you to check that book out. It's really cool.
Yeah,
like,
that
whole,
sounds
like,
very interesting.
Of like fairies.
And it's all over like the folklore of the UK. And there's a place near us, Devon, which is like a 2-hour drive from us. And this is quite wild, but there is I can't remember the name of the town. What is the name of the town? Oh, we'll find it.
But it's in Devon?
It's in Devon, and there is a grave just outside of a town called Jay's Grave. And basically it goes back to like hundreds of years ago. This young lady called Jay got pregnant out of wedlock. What's the name of the town? So she got pregnant out of wedlock, and obviously in those times it was like that was a big sin. And I don't know if I'm not sure if they killed her or if she died of natural causes, but they buried her. They wouldn't bury her in the local cemetery, so they buried her on the roadside out of the town. And the thing that's wild about, so this town is full of like fairy and pixie folklore, and every day, even to this day, the flowers change on her graveside every day.
Aw.
And what is really weird as well, and my dad's got an experience with Jay's grave, is my dad used to, when he was younger, he used to be like a keen horse rider.
Mhm.
So they used to go on holidays to Devon and they would horse ride all day. They'd go off. My dad used to have a horse and they would go riding in the moors and for hours. But they got to this grave, like him and his friends,
Mhm.
and one of his friends' horse went over the grave. And as the horse did it, suddenly went crazy and bucked her off and she broke her arm.
Oh my gosh.
And I believe it was the next year they went back and they riding back near to Jay's grave. And the horse, she didn't go on the grave this time, but the horse, for whatever reason, got near it and freaked out again. And I think she like broke her leg, like the same girl.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
honestly, it's always scared me. It's always really freaked me out because it's like
No, horses
that's
definitely know.
yeah.
Yeah. And there's actually accounts of horses' manes being braided. Have you heard of this? Like
No.
it's like apparently it's funny because it's like fairy lore, but then it's also kind of there's been accounts of like questionable Bigfoot encounters with horses, but like where their manes are braided. And so I think it's more in Scotland where it's like that's part of the lore is that the fairies will braid the horse's manes and so they can ride and hold on to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh wow,
I don't know.
interesting.
Anytime we horse plus fairy equals unicorn. So, let's see. So Jay's grave or Kitty Jay's grave, supposedly the last resting place of a suicide victim who is thought to have died in the late 18th century, Dartmore.
That's it. Yes. Dartmoor.
Oh, and
yes.
ghost stories.
Oh, it's a very spooky place. It is a really spooky place. Like that is a place that really stands out. When I was little, we used to go to Cornwall quite a lot, which is right next to Devon. And then on the way home, we'd always spend a day in Dartmoor. And it's such a cool little spooky village. Like the feeling there was like magic. Yeah. And the pixie lore there, like every shop's has got little pixies that you can buy. And it's like a big part of their culture.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that they say that every day the pixies and the fairies change these flowers on Jay's grave. And apparently they actually change. Like every day there's fresh flowers there and no one knows how they get there. Like every day. Which is pretty wild.
So sad.
Yeah. But this grave is in the middle of like nowhere. Like I think it's marked now. I think when you go there now, like there's like a little fence around it now, but there never used to be. Even when I was little, there was never any like we nearly drove over it. Actually, I remember my dad trying to show us, and we got nearby, and it was quite comical, really. But I'm glad we didn't. And my mum and dad are like, "Where is it?" They're trying to work out where it was, and my dad's reversing. And then all of a sudden my mum shouted, stop, it's there, it's right behind it. And my dad nearly reversed on the grave. I mean, that would have been terrible. But the weird thing is, this is really weird. So my nan had a dog called Jay.
Oh.
And that very day that we nearly drove, my nan called up my mum. So my nan called up my mum, she spoke to her, didn't say anything, but Jay passed away that day. The dog had to be put down that day. And so I've always put that place as like...
Wait, the day that you guys backed over the grave?
The day that we nearly... Yeah, the dog... I know, I'm not saying that's definitely connected with that, but it's just weird. The dog was
totally weird.
Yeah, the dog's called Jay.
Yeah.
Nearly backed up on Jay's. And so I've always been a bit sort of scared of it. Because it's like, it comes with negative... Like my dad's friend she broke her leg and her arm. And then... the thing with the dog. So I've always like tried to stay away from it. It is pretty freaky.
No, it completely is. I wish I could. All right. So we're using Riverside and it's not letting me. I don't think I can share. Well, maybe I can share my screen. Hold on. Let me see if I can. I'm really bad at this stuff.
You're better than me. I've got no idea.
Let me see if it'll let me. Where did it even go? Refresh to share your screen. All right, I don't want to like lose you. I don't know.
Have I got to do anything this end to accept it?
No.
Or
I don't think so. I should be able to just like. I found a close up of it.
really?
Yeah, I'm trying to share it, but it's being a weirdo. I don't want to do like, and I'm trying to do things on Riverside that like I'm not paying money for, so it's like,
Oh, okay.
it's trying to get me here.
Yeah.
I want to. It's like issue. I don't want to refresh because I don't want to like lose the feed, but it looks like if you pull it up, I mean, it's just like a little stone. I could definitely see how you would totally just almost run it over.
Yeah, and I think now, I don't know if is there a fence around it now. I don't know if there is. There definitely wasn't back in the day when I was little.
It doesn't seem like it is. Yeah.
Like you would miss that. Like if you was driving along and you had no idea, it would just be like a little stone. There's not even like a big grave or a sign or anything.
That's exactly what it is. Man, come on. Why aren't you letting me share this screen? All right, it's being stupid. I don't want to spend too much time trying to play it. I'll just have to like put it in the episode, in the video, because this is just, yeah, and people like put flowers and like coins and stuff. So that's like, I don't know. See, then you start getting into, I'm not like superstitious, but I am very careful about stuff like that because I just don't want to come into agreement with things.
Yeah.
You know, like I will accept you and I will accept the folklore of it, but I also don't want to like get into something that's a little bit close to, you know, coming into an agreement. So
yeah,
you know, it's crazy.
That's it, like inviting something in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you definitely want to be careful with that. But oh, Jay's grave. That's so sad.
Yeah, it's a sad story. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of them in like the UK. Just it's always again with like the white ladies and just like all those like gray ladies. Just there's always some sort of sad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The white lady and the grey ladies are like everywhere. Like literally, there's a road, literally 5 minutes down the road from me where I am now, where there's said to be a white lady that crosses the road, and someone I work with's friend said he saw her, and it's like you just see this white lady, you know, not from our era, walking across the road, and people see her. So I think there's something to that. Like it's like the Hat Man. Like why does everyone see the Hat Man? Why does everyone see woman in grey or woman in white? Like there seems to be something to that. I don't know what it is, but
well, and even like it's like again, like it's almost like you've been given a glimpse of something.
Yes,
you know? Whatever the why is behind it. You know, like your brother didn't see what you exactly saw. You know, it's really, really, it's just so fascinating. But I think that's why, you know, we do what we do. It's important to have a space for people to be able to come because like so if you look at like kind of your mom's experience, right? And like your dad's experience, like they're not running around probably like not sharing everything. Your mom didn't really believe you. I think that's understandable because, you know, I don't think it's not even like you don't want to believe your kid. I think it's more like you just don't want to admit that something like that could be happening. Because you do have to deal with it, but then also you don't want your kid to be like traumatized and freaked out, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
So I can understand that, but I feel like now we're in this era where people are really talking about these experiences so much more. It's like the folklore and like the mystery is kind of coming back. It's kind of a cool.
And so many people have had experiences. Like it's rare to meet someone that's not experienced anything.
Yeah.
So
it really is. Yeah. So why don't do you have any other kind of stories you want to tell us, or do you have any I guess like on your show? Because I want to get back to, I want people to like, if they haven't followed your show or if they don't know your show, is there like one encounter that you can think of that you're just like, obviously besides the kid who discovered this Bigfoot DNA?
Yeah, that was very recent.
Kind of late breaking.
Yeah.
But any like kind of crazy encounter, you know, that you might have that's like a wild experience? I know it's hard.
There's been a few.
Yeah.
I remember. So this was more as well how it made me feel after. So I talked to a lot of people that share a lot of wild experiences, and it
Mhm.
doesn't really faze me that much. Like, it doesn't scare me when I turn off and try to go to bed that night. I'm not like thinking about it and scared about it. But then there's some stories that people tell me, and I'm like, oh, it sticks with me after the show. It gives me the creeps. And I, I had the Orney brothers on my show, which are two awesome dudes, great guys. And they was on the podcast, and they were very much back in the day paranormal investigating all the time. And they sort of come to the conclusion that it wasn't good for them to be out there doing this all the time. Like, it was having a negative effect on them. So they've sort of stopped doing that, but they're still very much into it and interested in it. And they went to a thrift store, and they found this little clown toy, and they didn't buy it. They didn't get it because they thought it was haunted or anything like that. They just thought it was a cool toy, and they bought it. And then once they bought this toy, and I'm quite scared of clowns. Clowns freak me out anyway.
I don't like clowns.
I don't know why you'd want a clown toy, but they bought this toy, and they said once they bought it in the house, it brought like a real negativity with it, and they would hear it. They would hear the thing talking to them, which sounds wild, but it was like a voice that they could hear all of a sudden, and like weird noises, and they were like, "We've got to get rid of this, man. Like, we just got to get rid of it." So Jesse just one day, I think he was at home on his own, and he was like on the computer or something, and he could hear this clown, which sounds wild, but I'm like, for it to affect you that much, where you've got to go and get the clown and get rid of it, it must have been quite a strong feeling, whatever it was. Yeah. And he said he literally put this clown in the back of his car and was just going to drive to a forest and just dump it. And as he's driving like to the forest or wherever he's going to get rid of it, he can hear it in the back shouting and like banging. And I was like, oh my, that is wild. And that sticks out with me. That story sticks with me because of how it made me feel after recording. Like, that's not, I hear a lot of wild stuff, but after that I was like, man, that really gave me the creeps,
No, that's
and I
really
think
creepy.
in the room, like, something fell off the wall while we was talking about it as well. And I was like, whoa, no, what's that? That just adds to it as well. But there's been a lot of creepy experiences, freaky experiences that have creeped me out. That's one of them.
That was actually also an episode of Goosebumps. I am going to say that. I'm
Was
not
it
saying
really?
that. I'm not saying
Was
that
it?
in any era of skepticism or anything like that. Like, I like to take people at face value.
That happened on Goosebumps.
It was definitely Goosebumps. I think it was the Night of the Living Dummy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you watch the remakes with Jack Black, I think it's the second. I know this because of my 10-year-old, but like, I think it's the second one. No, it's the first one, I think. And it's like these kids, they start a little summer job, and they're going to go around and like just pick up people's old junk. And then they find the dummy, and they realize that he's like terrible. And then they decide to drive him into the woods. And the whole time he's like in a chest. Yeah. He's like in the back of their car, like jumping around and trying to but then he does end up like escaping.
Yeah. You're right. I've actually got that book. I've actually got that book.
I do too.
I've got literally right here. I know you can't see it, but I've got all my Goosebumps books.
Mine are over there.
Really? I've literally got my whole collection. I've got loads. There's literally loads. I'll send you a picture. But
that's funny. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I must have read that one. I have got it, and I did watch the series as well, because that was amazing when it came out. I think it was on Nickelodeon. Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have them out again, so you can get them.
Yeah, on Disney Plus now. Yeah, as well.
Yep, I know. That's where it all started.
Interesting though that was in Goosebumps as well. Yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously not saying that they, I
bring them up.
100% believe that weird stuff. I mean, we have a thrift store around here that I go to often, and I just get clothes. I don't really buy people's like trinkets and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I've actually noticed is that like the people are weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people that work there are really weird. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like they're nice, but then there's just, I don't know. There's one guy that just, I don't know. Gives me a weird vibe.
Just gives, yeah. I think you should listen to that as well. I think there's something to that.
Yeah,
when you
I
get
do know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't think I want to go there.
Yeah, there's something not. Yeah, I think you should listen to that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sure.
I've had more experiences as well. There's been a lot of other weird stuff happening in my life. I used to get really bad sleep paralysis. I don't know if you want to get into that, but I used to where I lived before I live now, in a flat in Essex. I used to get sleep paralysis at least once a week, like really, really bad attacks. And I never used to think paranormal at the time. Like it wasn't, but the attacks were bad. And now I look at them as attacks, but at the time I didn't really understand what was going on. But I would be, it was never.
Same house in Essex? The same one when you were
No,
young?
this was a flat that we had. So this is not that long ago, really. Like this is like, so I've been here 3 years. So before that,
Okay.
I was there for about 8 years. I think we was there, and yeah, it was weekly. Like I would have attacks.
Oh wow.
And I never really understood what was going on. But basically, what it wasn't. I wasn't asleep, but I was trying to sleep. I don't know if I was slipping into sleep, but I would get this like vibration go through me, like a really nice feeling. It was a really nice feeling, and I'm like, wow, that's nice. But then it turned negative because then I couldn't move. Then I was completely stuck, and I couldn't look around the room, but I could feel that there was an entity in the room trying to attack me. And it was just, I could see it in my mind's eye. And it was just like a black mass of just evil. Like it was just like, it didn't look like a witch, but in my mind, I was like, this is a witch. Like I'm being attacked by a witch, which is really weird with what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
And then I would be in a battle with this thing, and I'd be swearing at it, and I'd be telling it to leave me alone. And eventually I'd come out of the paralysis, and I'd be like, oh, that was weird. You know, what was going on there? And that happens so often. Like honestly, once a week I would experience that. And I knew it was, and I didn't know really know that much about sleep paralysis and the hag and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's usually where that kind of, that comes from, but that's always a correlation.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you read Vicky Joy's book?
I haven't read the book. No, I've had Vicky Joy on the show. He's awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing. They only come out at night.
Yes.
Actually, I've read it. It's an awesome book. She spent so much time researching. And she's an experiencer of sleep paralysis. You know that, but I mean, she's also collected a lot of data. I would hate to say not that the people are data, but just a lot of stories and just data really from people who have experienced sleep paralysis. So she has a lot of resources in that book, but she even says, like, I think it's kind of in the beginning. I don't have it like on hand, but it's like, if you're not experiencing sleep paralysis, don't just read this book because you're interested in it. You know, she's very big on don't go poking around, and that's like become her whole platform, which I completely respect because we need to keep hearing those reminders.
Yeah, for sure.
That was the case for you, but it's just really always interesting because it always ends up going back to folklore, right? It always ends up going back to like all of the stuff that we're familiar with. But when you really have those encounters, I almost always wonder, you know, like what is going on? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Every weekly is.
Oh, it was constant.
Awful.
And the weird thing is, as soon as we moved here, I've had it about 5 times here off the top of my head, 5 or 6 times. So I still get it. But I've not had it for a long time. And when it happened here, it was like a different entity. It's a different attack. It wasn't that same thing that was attacking me. And very strange how it stopped when I left the flat that we was in.
Where you were.
Yeah.
But it's still happening now.
It has happened here, but it's not very often. It's not happened a lot. There was a time this was very different to any other sleep paralysis that I've had. This was quite recent as well, and around the time that it felt dark in the house. So I always had sleep paralysis as I was trying to sleep. So it was never I'd wake up during the night and I was in the paralysis. It was always as I was trying to go to sleep. But there was one time where I woke up during the night and my son was sleeping in the middle of us, and
Mhm.
he was crying and screaming at something at the door. And I was like, Fred, what's the matter, mate? What's the matter? What's going on? What's the matter? And then all of a sudden I woke up again, and he was sound asleep. And I was like, that has never happened before. And it felt like I couldn't move in the moment as well. And then I was like free, but it was so real. When I could see Fred crying at the door, it was like, it wasn't like a dream. It was like, it was real. I was really seeing it. And then I woke up again, and he was just sound asleep. And that was very strange as well. Yeah,
That's awful.
yeah.
Yeah, when it starts messing with kids, I mean, I just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's the last thing that I want.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds like a real nightmare to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that was bad. But that was the worst one that's happened here. But there has been other sort of like where I feel like something's attacking me. It's very different now. Now I'm like, in Jesus' name, leave. And that works for me, you know, and then touch wood, I don't have it anymore. So maybe if it is something trying to attack me, it can't anymore, basically.
You gotta stay prayed up, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
100%. Yeah.
Well, I definitely recommend Vicky Joy's book, and especially for anybody like that's listening that has, if you actually are experiencing sleep paralysis, They Only Come Out at Night is fantastic. I mean, she's like again been an experiencer for a very huge portion of her life. So, and she's always we've had her on once. She's amazing. I love her.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah,
sleep paralysis is terrible. Like to
it's
experience.
awful.
Have you experienced that sleep paralysis?
I had like weird stuff. I can never really tell if it was sleep paralysis or not for me when I was a kid. I had I think I went in on on your show. It was just really, it was kind of that like that tingly all over feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But I experienced more like lights. And it was almost kind of like a drapery of lights coming down. And I think it was a couple times. So it's funny because when I shared that story and it was on, oh my gosh, I remember the name of the podcast now. But it was on a podcast and the guys were telling me about this Sears See and Peace in Your House book by Douglas Overmeyer. And since I've bought those, it's making a connection. Like, so either, and I don't want to claim this at all that, I'm any kind of seer, but it's almost as if like I think that there's a tie in with being able to see or being allowed to see these things and our actual spiritual gifts that are from God. So whether or not we decide to operate in that is up to us and it's our free will. But the more that I read into it kind of on a spiritual angle, it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I highly recommend those books. Yeah. But and every connection that I'm making, it's more of the spiritual, and kind of less like, I mean, again, you could be seeing an entity. And then a lot of kids, when they grow up, like this is part of the book, is that they grow out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have like supernatural sort of encounters. So it's just kind of like, all right, well, what do you do with that? So I'm kind of interested in digging into, I haven't read them through like both of those books, but I'm slowly getting through them because it's a lot of like, I'm stopping and like reading scripture and stuff like that because I want to understand it. And I really want to reach out to him and like pick his brain about how to really minister to people at some point, because it's like, if you keep having these experiences, like you're not living in freedom and it's not your best life. Like, it's not God's best for us to be haunted by this crap.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. As much as I find it fascinating, I don't want it in my house. As much as I really don't. I've had enough experiences now to know that there's more, but I don't want any more.
I don't want to like walk on that. No, thank you.
No.
It was the Unrefined podcast. The guys at the Unrefined podcast. Yeah. They're the ones that told me about that because the daughter had a similar experience with it's the lights. It really kind of that like picked my brain where I was like, okay, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
Well, Tommy, thank you so much for coming on. We talked about
Thank you.
everything.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. You've taught me a lot tonight as well
Which-
about my hometown. So I need to go back and yeah, I didn't realise that. I knew there was obviously a lot of history there, but you
Yeah.
just you take for granted your hometown. I think like you should look into it.
You definitely do, right? I mean, and I'm in Baltimore, so it's just like I'm always like, whatever, this place, you know. But there's a lot of weird stuff here,
Yeah,
you know. So
yeah.
we take for granted, you know. We always want to look out and see what else is going on, you know. But
Yeah,
plenty of weird stuff in your own town,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
for sure. All right, Tommy, I want you to come back. We have so much to talk
Oh,
about all the time.
anytime. I will come back 100%.
And
I want you back on Let's
definitely-
Get Freaky.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah.
Let's
that's
go.
Awesome. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yep, so we're on all the main podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Tommy Cullum's Let's Get Freaky. We're also on YouTube as well. I do post some of the episodes on there now, try and get as many on there as possible. So yeah, Let's Get Freaky on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. That's where we are. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, guys. Well, until next time, remember the truth is out there. God is with you, and everyone always ends up in the kitchen.
You have been listening to Sasquatch and Sourdough. I'm Christina, and thank you so much for tuning in. Sasquatch and Sourdough is so much more than just a podcast. We're a community of kindred spirits, united by our curiosity and fascination with the extraordinary. And we want to bring you into the conversation. So whether you've had a brush with the unexplainable, seen something that you can't quite wrap your head around, this is your space. We invite you to join us as we break bread and break down the barriers between the known and the unknown. If you want to share your story, you can email us at sasquatchandsourdough@gmail.com or send us a DM on Instagram. Until next time, remember, the truth is out there, God is with you, and everyone always ends up in the kitchen.